Hi everyone, welcome back to Study Knits. My name's Allie. I'm a fourth year medical student living in the US and I love knitting and talking about knitting here on this channel. A couple of new changes. If you can or can't tell, I'm in a new place. I'm back in Alabama with my fiance. This will be my very last stop until we move to New York. So I'm back here. I'm back with our dog, Mary Jane, who's sitting next to me on the couch. You'll probably see her at some point. And then our cat Ginger's also here as well. So back with my, oh, hi Mary. Back with my babies. But very exciting. Another change, don't look too closely. I did re-dye my hair. I'm in a wedding this upcoming weekend. Let's see what day is today. Tuesday, April 22nd. I'm in a wedding this Saturday and I needed to re-dye my hair before because you could kind of see my little roots. And so I decided to do it yesterday. And then I was like, well, I need to record a podcast. And all that to say is that it does not look great right now, but it usually does not look great for the first 48 hours. And it has been under 24 hours. So just don't look too closely. It's a work in progress. We're all a work in progress. It just needs to gather itself for a little bit. But yeah, this is not, I did the exact same thing that I did last time. So if you've seen me since February, that's what it'll look like. I did do my nails though. Can you guys see? I was going for raw chicken. That was my inspo and I think I did it. It's very pink. This is just a podcast, what number is this? Podcast number 14. And I follow a standard podcast format with finished objects and then works in progress, then acquisitions, and then I do media chat at the end. Let's see, I have one finished object, 4 works in progress, and we'll get to the acquisitions later. So yeah, I'll tell you about what I'm wearing first. This is my Simper Slipover V-neck. It's a pattern by the Knit Pro Girl. This is my second one. I have 2 of these. I have a brown one that's for fall, and then this pink one is for spring. This is one of my favorite things to put on in the spring. I feel like it's a really great weight. I pull it out every spring, and it makes me just really happy because it's so bright pink. I think this is the size D, and I knit it using Drops Flora in magenta and Drops Kids Silk in pink. One of them is pink and one of them is magenta, and I can't quite remember. Actually, before I get on to finished objects, I need just a little bit of help. It's very quick. But I recently, in January, I think I purchased this Chiaogoo interchangeable set. I absolutely love it. What I don't love recently, if you have this, you know that they send these little like Ziploc bags to keep all the cables and all your little like doodads and whatnot. The bags are like ripping and they're difficult for me to open. This one's ripping on the side, and obviously like once it gets to the point that I can't open it anymore, things are falling out, I'm just gonna get another Ziploc bag. But my question for you guys is, if you have this set or if you have an interchangeable set and you have a better way to organize the cables. The way the needles are organized doesn't really bother me, but organizing the cables, it drives me crazy. So if you have a really good system for that, or, I mean, I would rather not spend money right now on it, but I'm open to spending money on it in the future if you have a really good like case that you like that you can put your interchangeables in. Please let me know, because I'm really struggling with these Ziploc bags and I really don't want to have to trade out these Ziploc bags for other zippies, like, you know what I mean? I would just love a better solution that doesn't end with me being like frustrated and trying to undo a Ziploc bag. Okay, that is something that I need help with, so please help me. And now we can get into finished objects. Oh my gosh, there's so much dog hair on it. Okay, doesn't matter. There's not as much dog hair on this side, so we'll just show this side. This is my Technicolor Purse / Technicolor Kindle cover by Petite Knit. Well, it's not mine, it's for my fiance. It's gorgeous. I don't know if you can see, I hope you can see. The other side has more dog hair, so we just won't show it. It has the Kindle in it currently. So if it's whatever size Kindle this is, I'm not sure. I'm not a huge look at a book reader. Big audiobook girl. I don't like looking at books. I don't know why. Let's see. This is the size it's smaller than a size small. I cast on 69 stitches for this. I used stashed, scrappy Focalana Arwetta. Let's see, let me run you through the colors. The colors are already back in my like scrap bag or something. This one is Focalana Arwetta. This is black. This brown one right here is mahogany. The grayish brown is nougat. And then this middle brown is camel. In addition, there's a little bit of drops flora also in black, knit in here with the Focalana Arwetta. But this was done with 3 strands of the Focalana Arwetta all held together, and then you sort of take turns. Sometimes you hold like 3 of the same color, 2 of one color, 1 of each different color, like sometimes, and that's how you get this cool like woven pattern. I absolutely love this. Okay, let's see, what size? Yeah, I use a 5.5 millimeter needle for this. I can't remember what the pattern calls for. I want to say it calls for a 5 millimeter. Yeah. And I decided to size up because I think the Focalana Arwetta is a bit smaller or a bit larger. I can't remember. I didn't swatch, and I had a reason for sizing up. And basically all I did is I knew the dimensions of my fiance's Kindle because I knit this for him when we were not living together. Like here, I wasn't around the Kindle that I was knitting this for. And I cast on and started working, and then I measured, and I was like, I think it's gonna be too big. And I just measured the size that I wanted it to be, and then saw how many stitches that was, and then I just undid it and then cast on the number of stitches that I need. And then I finished it when we were back here together, so I was able to just put the Kindle in there and keep knitting in the all black until it fit. Let's see. Yeah, in my last podcast, I know I was talking about, I think I mentioned that this was a little bit hard on the hands, and it was, but I think I said this the last time. It was really, really fun to knit because you just want to keep seeing, like with a lot of colorworks, you want to keep seeing what the next round looks like and what the next round looks like with the different colors. And so it made it go by really fast. I absolutely loved this. I loved making this, and I loved the way it looks. The other fun thing is that I used, let's see, for the 3 middle colors, let's see, what did I use? About 8 grams of each of them, 8 grams. And then for the black, I used 11 grams of Focalana Arwetta and 2 grams of Drops Flora. So we'll say that's like basically 13 grams of a fingering weight yarn that I used. So all in all, like under a skein, under a quarter of a skein of each of them. This is an incredible, incredible scrappy project. It's a great result, and I feel like if you were to run out of a color, if you're knitting from your stash from using scraps and you run out of a color, it's like no big deal, just join a new color. It wouldn't look weird. So I absolutely loved this. I loved making this. The pattern, also the petite knit pattern, it gives instructions for a lining and for a zipper. And I talked about in my last podcast, I wasn't sure if I was going to do a zipper or a button closure or anything, because I could have done a zipper. There's space for, a zipper here. Or if I was going to knit a little bit and or do like a button here and then a thing. I wasn't sure. And I finished it, and it's pretty snug fitting, and my fiance said he didn't really feel like he needed a button or a zipper or anything. And so I said, okay, less work for me, all yours. Then I blocked it and gave it to him. I feel like there's a lot of potential for these, not only just as like a little pouch with a lining and a zipper, but like an iPad cover, a laptop sleeve, like, you know what I mean? Like all sorts of little like covers for your tiny little devices, just a little extra layer of protection. Can't hurt. How long does this take me to make? March 24th to April 11th. What is that? Like 3 weeks? That's like 3 weeks. It's not bad. Not bad for working on it pretty sporadically. And then also like it was a hassle. Like I think I probably spent 5 minutes at the beginning. Every time I pulled this out of my knitting bag, I spent 5 minutes untangling the yarn. So that wasn't fun. But other than that, this was an absolute delight to knit. Would definitely knit more. Would love to knit more. Great way to use up stash. And like, not even stash, like scraps. And yeah. Can't recommend this enough. I think that's all I wanted to say about it. Yeah. That's all I wanted to say about this. All right, gorgeous, moving on. Let's see. Okay, I'll talk about this one very, very quickly. Moving into WIPs, like I said, I have 4 WIPs. This one will be fast. This is my, I don't even know which one is the front and the back. That looks like the front. This is my twist loop sweater by Other Loops. I'm knitting the size, we'll get to that. I'm using Filcolana Arwetta in Dijon, held with Knitting for All of Soft Silk Mohair in Caramel. I'm using a 4mm needle for this. And as you can see, it is on a stitch holder because I have put this away for the summer. I am not going to get anywhere out of this until September, October at the earliest, and I was really excited about summer knits and decided to just start working on summer knits. But I wanted to show it to you because I have the cable, like the first cable repeat done of the front, and then there's one on each of the shoulders and the back as well. So I did want to show you the little cable repeat just to check in and show it to you before I put it away for it's like summer hibernation. I will say though, somebody left a comment either, it must have been in my last podcast, sort of giving me a heads up that there is like a ton of positive ease on this sweater and that they have made it before and found it to be really, 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 really baggy and bulky. So I went through and checked, and so I'm glad I like put it on hold because I went through and checked. I'm knitting the size medium is what I set out to make, but the sizes extra small, small, and medium at this point in the pattern are the exact same. So when I pull this out and start to work on it again in the fall, I do have a plan to remeasure myself and then also double check is that working? Yeah. And then double check the pattern measurements and see if I do want to size down to, this is bugging me so much. I'm just going to put it down here. Oh my God, it's doing the same thing. I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to clip it to my shirt too. Okay, that should be better. I do have plans, but what was I saying? Oh, and I might size down to a small depending on how I'm feeling about the ease at the time. So that's why I said size TBD, because at this point in the pattern, extra small, small, and medium are all the same. That's all I really, really wanted to say about this. I have not worked on this now for a couple of weeks, so it's not really fresh in my mind. I did just want to show you the progress. Yeah, I did just want to show you the progress before I put it away. It's really cute though. It's going to be perfect for fall. This isn't something I really want to knit on in the spring and summer, so save it for fall. This mic is annoying me so much. Maybe I'll try it up here. Sorry it keeps moving. Oh my God, I love having long nails. Like I feel so powerful and like I could just scoop some eyeballs out if the situation called for it, but then sometimes I'm like, I can't do things, but I do feel powerful. Okay, I never know how to talk because I'm not a big sock person. I never know how to talk about socks when I finished one sock and I'm still working on the other sock. But this is my finished, one sock is finished. These are my custom socks by Kate Atherley Knits. And it's from her book, Custom Socks Knit to Fit Your Feet, which it's right there in my book stack. I'm not gonna get it out. I don't wanna set the house on fire. So it's not worth it to show you the book. But I've talked about this before. I talked about this in my last podcast. And I'm doing a project vlog for this, so I won't talk too much about it. But I did finish my first sock. I had some mishaps. Oh, the yarn, sorry. This is Knit Picks Felicini in Wagon Sofa, which sadly is discontinued. It's a discontinued yarn because this is so stinking cute, isn't it? I love these colors. I'm using a 1.25mm needle, I want to say. I'm using Magic Loop. I'm a big Magic Loop girl. Yeah, 2.25mm needle for this. This is I believe it's a heel flap and gusset. Gusset check. Any Whitney Simmons fans out there? Yeah, I had some mishaps. What happened? Oh, I did too many decreases here, and then I had to tink back, which was so frustrating because this yarn is like so tiny. And then I measured wrong. Oh, I pulled the needles completely out. I was trying to get it out of my bag and I just pulled at the magic loop cable and it just ripped the needles out of the yarn. So I had to put them all back on, and then I wrote down my measurements wrong or something, and I knit way too long on the foot and then had to put in a lifeline and rip back. But despite that, I finished my sock and I really like it. I'm not going to show it to you on camera because it's not that kind of podcast. But I really, really like it so far. It's definitely the most well-fitting sock that I have made to date. I feel like maybe there's some issues with the heel and the gusset. I don't know. I'll finish the second one and then I'll sort of wear them around. And I do need to block them still, but I'm very happy with it. And then my second one is in my little purse because it goes everywhere with me. Let's see, where am I at with this one? Oh, there we go. I knitted on it today at the post office. I was returning a package and the post office line was so long. And I was like, doesn't even bother me because I have my sock. So yeah, I have the cuff. The cuff is done. And then I just started working on the body of the sock, if you will, for the second one. Sorry, someone outside has upset Mary Jane. So she's kind of huffing and puffing around. I hope she doesn't start screaming again. I will say, now that I have a sock that I like, I've really, really enjoyed having a sock just sort of in my bag to knit on. Like, this doesn't take up much space at all. And it's kind of nice because I do usually bring my knitting everywhere with me. Not because I knit everywhere that I go, but I feel like if I bring it with me, it's not like sometimes I decide to bring it with me and sometimes I don't decide to bring it with me. So I'm never in a situation where I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I had my knitting. I wish I brought my knitting with me. I just always have it with me. I'm not sitting at a family gathering or sitting at dinner knitting. I don't usually do that. I know some people do that. That's fine, do you. I don't do that, but I do bring it with me just in case I go to the post office and the line is really long and I have time to knit. So I've really enjoyed having a sock in my bag because it's just something really small and really easy that I can pull out and I can just start knitting on. I really enjoy it. Also, I don't think it arrived yet, but I did buy a tiny little keychain measuring tape because I feel like that's always the one thing that I wish I had with me. It's always the one thing from my knitting bag that I take out and put in my purse when I think I'm gonna need it. And I was like, I just need to get another measuring tape. So I bought a little measuring tape keychain. I'll show it to you guys next time when it arrives. It's supposed to arrive tomorrow, I think. But that way I can just sort of have my sock or whatever I'm working on with me, and then I can measure at all times so I don't get off track. I think that's all I wanted to say about my sock. I don't really have much to say. It's a nice sock. I'll wait to see what I think about it until I've blocked it and everything, but yeah, love it. All right, now into the meat. We'll go by order of cast on. That's what we'll do. All right, this is a long one. Buckle up. Buckle up. Get ready. This, oh, and I actually do have a question about this. This is the sole top, or the top sole, by Mochi Knits. Along that line, it is listed online as the top sole. A lot of her patterns are listed that way, with the noun being before the descriptor, and I believe Mochi Knits is Spanish. And I know in Spanish, well, I think in Spanish, I Googled before and it said yes, but I know in French that a lot of times the descriptor is after the noun, whereas in English, the descriptor is often before the noun. So it makes sense to call this the top sole if you're talking in French or Spanish. But in English, I've seen people online sort of refer to it half as the top sole, half as the sole top. It does just make more sense for me to say the sole top. But let me know. Let me know what you think. Doesn't really matter to me, but it does just roll off the tongue easier and make more sense for me to say the sole top than the top sole. But either way, this is the sole top / top sole. This is by Mochi Knits. I'm using Surella silk sock yarn? Yeah, silk sock yarn. This is the hank. Gorgeous. In the color Cruel Summer from their Taylor Swift, their Eras collection part 2. Something outside has upset Mary again, so I'm sorry if you hear her. I talked about this a lot in my spring knitting plans video. I spent a good chunk of time talking about this in my spring knitting plans. Oh, I just glazed over the fact that this was my first like spring summer cast on of the year. Very exciting. I glazed over it because I had to talk about my journey that I've been on. Because this pattern calls for, I believe, a DK weight yarn. I need to put my sock away. This pattern calls for a DK weight yarn. And this is obviously a fingering weight yarn. And I was basically going back and forth in my spring knitting plans video, like, because I wanted to hold this yarn single and make a little tie top with it. And so I was like, do I make the top sole using the fingering weight yarn and do I adjust it, or do I knit a slightly different pattern that's for fingering weight yarn and adjust that to make it like the top sole? People in the comments, thank you so much, were very, very encouraging, telling me that I could in fact adjust the pattern for gauge. And so I did. Taylor from Wool Needle Hands, a video of hers was recommended to me about adjusting patterns to fit your gauge. So I watched that, it was very helpful. And then I did some math, and not to brag, I do have my undergraduate degree is in math. So like, I know my way around some numbers, and I was able to calculate and sort of figure out, like, adjust the steps to fit my gauge. And I was feeling really good about it. All of my notes, the notes that I would need if I was gonna do this again, and I didn't wanna give too much away about the pattern in my notes, but my notes are on Ravelry for what I did to adjust this for fingering weight. I did sort of DIY it because there wasn't when I calculated this total number of like stitches in the body that I was gonna need, there wasn't a size that had that number of stitches, so I didn't really have a size that I could go off of, so I sort of just made my own size, and that's fine. That went well. I felt confident. My math was good. That was until I'm knitting and I decided to measure, and based on my gauge swatch, I should have had to knit a couple more. Actually, I'll just tell you. So I cast on, let me back up. I cast on for the shoulder here, cast on for the shoulder here, and I was working the back. And it says, knit until it's X number of centimeters before you start the underarm increases. So, and then it tells you in the pattern how many rows that should be if you're following the pattern gauge, but I obviously wasn't. So I know, because I'm like really on my gauge for this pattern, I know how many rows I should be knitting to get that number of centimeters that I was looking for. So I'm counting, and then I decided to measure. Basically, my row gauge was off. And then I was like, no, Allie, this is unblocked, right? Like, I have to remember, this is unblocked, my gauge swatch is blocked. So I'm like, well, and then words came out of my mouth that I never thought would come out of my mouth. And I said, let me do a mid-project block. Who is she? In the span of like 2 months, I've knit a gauge swatch in the round, and I've done a mid-project block. Crazy character development for me. Crazy character development. So I did a mid-project block and remeasured, and my gauge was different than what my gauge swatch was. So what was it? It wasn't that different, but normally gauge difference doesn't really bother me that much, but when I'm like basing a whole garment off of it and I'm trying to be good about it, it bothers me. So my gauge swatch originally was 31 stitches. I'm not gonna talk about rows, I don't care about rows. It was 31 stitches. My mid-project block, it was 29 stitches. And 26 stitches is what's recommended for the pattern. So, I mean, it was still a little close to the pattern. So basically, my options were to like restart and recalculate with my new gauge, or just keep going. And I decided to keep going, and just tweaked it a little bit more. I basically found ways to, what did I do? I removed stitches from the underarm cast on, and I did less increases than I was originally planning on doing to end up with less number of body circumference, like body stitches, than what I was originally planning to. So, all that to say, I didn't even tell you what needle I'm using, 2.75 millimeter. So, all that to say This is where I'm at. I have finished, you can't even really tell. It's really hard to do like a show and tell with this, but I finished the front. Actually, no, I finished all the increases and now I'm just simply knitting back and forth until it reaches the length that I want it to be. It's not, sometimes I want to knit on it, sometimes I don't want to knit on it. It's a little difficult, it's tedious. It's tedious because the stitches are really small, it's silk, fingering weight, and I'm using a metal needle, so they're really slippery. And one going like 2 rounds, I timed myself last night. Going back and forth takes me 15 minutes. So it takes me 15 minutes to do 2 rows of this, which is, in my opinion, a really long time. So since I finished the increases, I've not been having a good time working on this, but I'm just trying to get in a couple of rows on it each day, let it like slowly grow, because I think if I don't make a mental effort to knit on this most days, I fear it will not get done, because looking at this right now, no. I will say one good thing is that I don't know if you can tell on the back where I did my mid-project block, but the fabric, the blocked fabric up here is just like so, it's so much softer, it's so much smoother looking. It looks so nice. The blocked fabric just looks so nice. So I really can't wait to have this done. And I really, really hope, I really hope that it fits and it looks cute. I had some other things to say about this. I had a lot to say about this. Okay, the finishing details. I think they're usually called like, you know, finishing details because you do them at the end, right? Like you go and add an I-cord. For a vest, you add like the cuffs or whatever, like the little sleeve things, whatever. With this, there are absolutely no finishing details other than doing the ties. So you sort of work this garter stitch edge as you go. There's like a pseudo, it's not even an I-cord or whatever. You work this finishing edge as you go. This is rolling like crazy. I don't know if you can see, but it's like rolling. Here, I'll show it to you from this side. This is rolling like crazy. And I don't know if it'll fix with blocking. The shoulders are rolling like crazy. Like this is one shoulder, and this is like the garter stitch edge that's supposed to be out, but it keeps folding over. The underarms, whatever, nobody sees those. The mid-back cast on, this is just like a long tail cast on that was in the pattern, and that's what it is. It's nothing else. That's rolling. So the finishing details have me worried. I will say, as with everything, I hope it fixes with blocking, because if it doesn't fix with blocking, this is going to be a massive disappointment, because I really don't want to have a finished garment where like both sides of the shoulders are like curling in on themselves. So the finishing details have me nervous. I will be holding my breath until I finish and block this for that reason, because it gives me pause. It gives me pause. But yeah, so I'm just cranking away. What else? Oh, I feel like, I will say, I feel like I am being a little hypercritical of this pattern because I'm putting a lot of effort into it in terms of adjusting it to fit my yarn, the sizing, like not really having my size, so having to create my own size, things like that. I'm putting a lot into it, so because of that, I think I'm expecting a lot out of this pattern, and I find some of the parts of the pattern, I don't find it to be the most like polished pattern, if that makes sense. One example that I have is that there's a chart for each of the front panels, and a chart for the left front and a chart for the right front. And then once you join in the underarms, you continue working the separate front panels. So you have to go back and forth between the panels. So you start off and you knit the right panel, and then you knit across the back, and then you scroll to the left panel. And I found it a little bit annoying. It wasn't that hard, it was just increases. So like, I assumed if I increased, well, I mean, it was if you increased on one side, you increased on the other side. So that's just me being a little bit of a baby, but I do feel like that was a little awkward to have to do instead of just creating a new chart for after joining at the underarms. So I guess with this, I am just sort of holding my breath and hoping that it turns out great, because I feel like it might be a flop, and I would be really, really bummed out if this was a flop. But yeah, I do feel like it could end up looking not that great, which would be really disappointing because I've put in a lot of effort, a lot of brain effort, and then a lot of just effort knitting this because it is fingering weight yarn. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say about it. I mean, the fabric's gorgeous. The colors, I mean, this is gorgeous. I talked about it when I bought this. I love Cruel Summer. It was one of my favorite sets from the Eras tour. The colors are gorgeous, very much like her Lover bodysuit. I don't really think that they're my colors necessarily. I don't really look the best in pastels, honestly, or in hot pink. This is not my color either, but this is so fun that like, I don't really care. So I already kind of know that this is not going to be my color. This is definitely more just going to be a fun garment. My own Lover bodysuit. Oh, it's caught on my ring. Okay. All right, that's all I have to say about this. I'm calling it. My last work in progress. I'm so excited about this. I love this. Let's see, which way's the front? That's the back. This is my blouse #1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I'm knitting this using Knitting for Olive Pure Silk in the color Copper, held double. Let's see. Oh, what size needle am I using? So rude of me. I'm sorry. 4.5 millimeter needle, which is the size down. I did gauge swatch for this. Yeah, so 4.5 millimeter needles, size medium. I think it's the third size medium. As you can see, I have done the yoke. It's contiguous knitting, so I've done all the increases for the arm. And I worked a little bit of the body, and I always do this. I always work a little bit of the body and then put it on a holder and then work the sleeves. So I'm not worried about running out of yarn when I'm working the rest of the body, especially because I'm trying to use up all of this yarn. I would love to just knit the body until I have no yarn left. So I'm just gonna work the sleeves first and then do the body. This is flying. This is flying off the needles. It's flying off the needles, guys. I am having a really, really great time working on this. It's a really nice, just mindless stockinette. There's only a couple. I'm working the underarm, the arm decreases right now. There's only a couple of arm decreases, and then you work the arm just straight. I wrote in my notes, pattern is eh. I just feel like there's been a couple of times where I've been reading it, and I'm just like, that was worded a little bit more difficultly than I think it needed to be worded. I've heard complaints like that from My Favorite Things knitwear patterns before. Especially the Norma sweater. Everybody I know is making the Norma sweater or the new Norma sweater, at least on YouTube, and everybody's talking about it. And everybody talks about how they're like, why is this hard? This should not be this hard. Why is this worded this way? And I kind of feel like that about this one. This is a pretty simple project. And I think a lot of the wording is just a little bit, it's not how I would have done it. It's not as clear as I feel like it could be, but it hasn't really, well, no, it hasn't stopped me from. This is one of my favorite colors ever to wear, period, and to look at. I love this color. I love this. I can't wait to have this. This brings me to something. I want to try a new thing because I have a lot of yarn in my stash, but it's not really stashed. In my stash presently, in my bins stored away, I really only have 2 like sweater quantities of yarn, and they're both intended for 2 separate sweaters. They were purchased with those sweaters in mind. All that to say, in my stash, I don't have a ton of large quantities of yarn that can be used for a singular garment. So what that means, it's all like yarn that's either gifted or leftover from like leftover skeins from projects. So I'm trying a thing where I want to have one stashed / scrappy project on the needles at all times as a way to knit it down. I want to try to work on some like decorations because I don't want to knit. The thing that stopped me from doing scrappy projects is that I think sometimes I don't want to knit a garment for the sake of using up yarn, and then I just have this garment taking up space that I don't actually like and won't wear. To me, that's no different than having yarn in my stash. I want to knit something that I will enjoy wearing or will enjoy looking at. So that's my goal. I have some things like saved in my Ravelry for like decorations, wall hanging things, some pillows. I might try some granny squares. We'll see. All that to say, I would like to have a scrappy little yarn project going at all times. And this kind of counts. That's why I brought this up, because how I'm defining yarn that is like stashed with no intentions is I look at it and I'm like, what am I gonna do with you? You're taking up space. It was purchased with, well, actually, I don't really purchase yarn. I don't really purchase yarn with no plan for it. Pretty much every yarn that I purchase, period, has a plan. So it's a lot of just leftover yarns from projects. So this kind of counts because I test knit a shirt 2 summers ago, like a summer shirt, and I used this yarn, and I didn't like it. I finished the shirt, I wore it a couple of times. I wore it, I think, only once or twice, and I was just like, doesn't really do it for me. I don't really like it. I didn't like how it looked on me. I didn't like it. So I've been looking at it. I've been looking at it in my, what's that called? Oh, my little like cubby of hand knits, and I look at it and I'm like, I don't like that. I need to do something else with that yarn. So I purchased more of this. Well, and I was gonna make a dress with all of this, and then I decided to make this top instead. All that to say, this counts as my scrappy project because I completely unraveled that garment, and then I like reblocked the yarn. And I'm actually really glad that I chose this top to make with this yarn, is because it's 2 different dye lots of yarn. And since this is originally supposed to be like 2 different yarns held together, it's supposed to be a marled look. It's not marled, but it's 2 different dye lots, so it makes it really easy. I don't have to worry about alternating skeins or anything like that. I just have dye lot A and dye lot B going at the same time, and it's really nice. I will say I did join a new skein of yarn. I've been trying to keep track of which one I need to join next, like which of the 2 dye lots I need to, because they're not the same quantity balls of each of them, because one of them was unraveled and it wasn't going to be exactly 50 grams. So I've been trying to keep track, and I think I may have gotten off track. And last night it was looking like you could see a little line from dye lot change, but I don't think you can see. I can't see it right now. I have 7 balls of this yarn, and I'm hoping, I think my size calls for either 7 or 8. Single color version is 7 balls. So I should have enough, but like I said, my goal is to, like I said, I'll just knit the sleeves and then knit the whole body until I run out of yarn, and then I will have no more knitting for olive, pure silk and copper left in my stash, and it will be time to cast on a new stash project. I think that's all I wanted to say. Yeah, that's all I had to say about this. This is absolutely delightful to knit on, super easy, not too tough on the hands, but sometimes it gets to me, but yeah, that's it. I have acquisitions. This is like a teaser. I have stuff from Knit Picks, and then my knitting for olive got here today, which was great. I was having not a great day, and then I go to the mailroom, and my knitting for olive was there, and I was like, thank God, something good's happening today. That and my nails turned out okay, so 2 wins. But I have a lot of yarn in here. I have yarn for, let's see. Okay, yeah, so basically I have yarn for three tops and 3 sweaters. And that's a lot to go through because I think this is already going to be like a normal length podcast. And if I'm being honest with you, I'm leaving for this wedding on Thursday and I really want to edit this video tomorrow on Wednesday and then have it upload on Friday. And I don't know that I have time to upload and like, I don't know that I have time to edit all of the acquisitions. And then all that to say is I also, in my spring knitting plans video, I asked for a lot of opinions and advice on certain patterns to pick out. I had a couple of like inspo picks that I was going for and people gave some incredible pattern suggestions. So I think I'm gonna do a video probably next week doing a little yarn haul for the rest of for just all of my new spring and summer yarn. And then also put together not like a list, but just to mention all of the really great pattern suggestions that I got in that video. Because I feel like I chose 3 patterns based on comments that I got in that video. And there were so many other great patterns that I wanted to highlight that people suggested. So I think I'm just gonna make a separate video. I don't think it'll be too long. It'll probably be like an hour long knowing me. But I think I'm gonna make a separate video going through that and that way I can just finish up with media review and then edit this tomorrow and get it up. Don't be mad at me. I haven't even opened the yarn yet. Like this literally, the Knitting for Olive got here like an hour ago and the knit picks got here yesterday. And I probably should open them because both of these companies have sent me the wrong yarn before. So I should make sure it's right, but I won't do that now. Instead, I'll just do a quick media review. But if you don't mind, I'm just gonna work on my sole top while we talk. I don't know if you guys can see her. No, you guys probably can't. But Mary Jane is like, can you see her over there? She's sulking. She's sulking in the corner because she screamed at so many people outside and then I got mad at her for screaming at people outside the whole time. And now she's sulking. Poor Mary. Okay. That should be a similar angle. Okay. First and foremost, Formula One. What a season we're having. This, I feel like it's Oscar Piastri's year, which, no complaints from me. I love Oscar Piastri. He's double boosted every single week on my main team. Every single week. What a season he's having. I think he's great. I'm really happy for him. And then what do we think about, I feel bad for Lando because everyone's like comparing them or whatever, but like, I just feel like Oscar has such a strong, like, a good mentality. I feel like easy to forgive himself when he makes mistakes and moves on. And Lando goes from like P10 to P4 in the race this week and is like, oh, it was all right. Like, bro, you had a good race. Give yourself some credit. But crazy. And then I love Max. I love Max Verstappen. Incredible driver, incredible competitor. Rough childhood. Jos Verstappen sucks. But Max just races so dirty every time. Every time he races dirty, which, whatever, it's entertaining to watch. But the second somebody puts their elbows out with him, he's like crying on the radio. And I'm like, come on. It just pisses me off. It's not fun to watch sometimes, but I definitely think that, and they all do that. They're all babies on the radio and everything, but I do just feel like oh, he pushed me wide. It's like, no, he didn't. You were doing the same trick you always do, but I'm glad Oscar won this weekend. I'm really happy for him. And F1, they're taking a break this weekend for my friend's wedding, which is so kind of them. So I don't have to choose. I really appreciate them doing that. But yeah, it's been a good season so far. And my Williams boys, they got double points. I'm so proud of them. Their little DRS train, I love Williams. I'm so happy for them. They're having a great season. And then, I think we talked about this last time, but I think the last time I released a podcast, I hadn't, White Lotus wasn't over yet. So spoilers for the end of White Lotus. But, great show. Great show. Season 2 is still my favorite, but I do think that I like season 3 better than I like season 1. I liked the ending. I liked the whole yin and yang, pain and hope. I enjoyed it. Poor Chelsea. R.I.P. Chelsea. She should have been at the club. But, really, really enjoyed this season. Can't wait to see what he's doing next. I also watched The Pit on HBO Max because my fiance and my mom were really into it. Neither of them are medical people. And if you don't know, The Pit is I think it's 15 episodes, and it's set in an ER based in Pittsburgh. And each episode is 1 hour of the shift that they're working. It's very good. It's pretty accurate as get, but I don't really watch medical shows. I don't like watching medical shows. It's kind of like, I imagine lawyers don't like watching Law and Order, or like cops don't like watching cop shows, or like all of these things. I don't like watching medical shows. But my fiance and my mom were like really into it, and they were like, please, you have to watch it. Like we want to talk to you about it. And I was like, okay. So I watched The Pit. It was good. I enjoyed it. It was pretty fun. It was like relatively accurate. It's like as accurate as it can get. I really need to start writing down, like, because I just list off what I want to talk about instead of actually making notes for what I want to say. And then it comes to this, then I'm a little talked out from talking about knitting. Oh, hi, Mary. Hi. We gotta wrap it up soon. It's almost this girl's dinner time. So yeah, The Pit. What I've really been into, though, recently, also on HBO Max, I've been watching old episodes of Four Weddings, like the TLC show Four Weddings. Yes, that one. I've been watching old episodes of that. So nostalgic. So nostalgic. So funny. So funny. Like, oh, I've been enjoying that a lot. I did read The Frozen River as my book club book this year. I can't remember who it's by. Ariel something. Yeah, Ariel Lawhan. It was pretty good. It's about a midwife in 1800s Maine, which is pretty interesting because I used to live in Maine. And I enjoyed it. And there's a murder. And she has to investigate. It's very good. It's pretty good. Pretty interesting. I enjoyed it. Very much along the lines of, like, The Silent Patient, like a relatively easy read that is suspenseful and some twists and turns, and then it's historical fiction. My mom actually really liked it. She read it like a couple of years ago, and then it was picked for our book club book this month, and I enjoyed reading it, with the caveat being I forgot about when the book club meeting was, and I listened to the whole thing on like 2 times speed in one day. I didn't love that, but I still like the book. Yeah, I think that's all I want to talk about. That's kind of all I'm watching. My fiance and I are catching up on Law & Order SVU. We love Law & Order SVU. We're huge SVU fans. We're catching up on Law & Order SVU. We just finished season, I don't even know, I want to say 25, the short one that was during the writer's strike. We just finished that, and we started season 26, I want to say. The current season? I'm actually not sure. And I will say, I feel like we come back to it like every year, and then we like catch up on like a season and a half, and then we wait 2 years, and we catch up on a season and a half. But I was reading a bunch on Reddit because I was getting really frustrated watching it, and I was like, Olivia Benson is annoying me, and the whole show is kind of annoying me, and I couldn't put a finger on why. And so I was on Reddit, obviously, And people on Reddit, as they always do, have such good points. People on Reddit have such good points. People are talking about how basically in the past, the whole team working together to solve a case. And you would have episodes where basically each detective would, in theory, like take lead. They would be the sort of main detective for the episode or the main pair for the episode. And basically, since, I don't even know when, because I just started watching it and it just started annoying me this time. But in recent years, it's all just Olivia Benson, Mariska Hargitay's character. It's all just her. And everybody plays off of her. And she's in every single scene. And she's the one comforting the victims. And she's the one testifying. And she's the one getting the perp to confess. And she's the one discovering all the new evidence. Like, it's all just like her doing everything. And then everybody else sort of interacting with her. And I think that's why I don't like it as much. Is because it feels like it's just this whole show just like glorifying her. That being said, I'll still watch it. I'm not going to not watch it. It's a great show. And, you know, it could change. And I feel like, And I feel like, I don't know. They need better, they don't need better supporting cast. They need to write better for the supporting cast. Because I feel like we don't know, like, anything about them, really. And we don't ever see them. We only see them, like, doing, like, tiny little tasks or interacting with Captain Benson. So, all that to say, what I'm watching recently is 4 Weddings and Law & Order SVU. Oh, and lots of baseball. I love baseball. Baseball is back. I think that's actually all I have to say. See, in the time that it took me to do that whole chat, I just did 1 row. So now I'm about to purl back. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope I'm able to record sort of like a yarn haul combo spring update to spring and summer knitting plans next week. Show off all my fun new yarn that I got. I hope that it's all right. Like, I hope I got all the right colors. I hope you enjoyed today's video. As always, I would love to know what you're working on, what you're reading, what you're watching, what's making you excited this summer. Or, well, it's getting into summer. It's almost summer. What's making you excited this spring/fall if you're from the Southern Hemisphere. But all that to say, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.